convert aluminum foil into alum in 2 steps. In the first step, we're going to take our aluminum foil and just rip it up into a bunch of small pieces. So there's nothing special about the size of the pieces that you rip it up into. It's just the bigger pieces are going to take a little longer to react. And of course, you don't need to use the scissors either. You can just rip it up with your fingers. Once you have the aluminum pieces all cut up, you're going to put a small beaker, in this case 100 ml beaker, onto the analytical balance, and you're going to press the tare button so that the beaker will weigh 0. Then you're going to add your pieces of aluminum foil to the beaker. And you'll reweigh, recording the mass of the aluminum foil in your notebook. If it's a lot more than 0.5 grams, as it is here, take some out, throw it away. So they have approximately 0.5 grams, and record this mass in your notebook. In the next step, under a fume hood, you're going to add 25 milliliters of 1.4 molar potassium hydroxide to a graduated cylinder. And then you're going to slowly add that to your beaker. Turn the setting on the hot plate to about 50%. Occasionally, you're going to want to stir the contents of the beaker with your stirring rod. Notice that the reaction has already begun. It's starting to fizz, which indicates that we're generating hydrogen gas. Continue the reaction until all the fizzing stops and there's no more pieces of aluminum foil in the beaker. Use caution when handling the potassium hydroxide because it is caustic to the skin. Every so often during the course of your reaction, you'll want to stir it up and make sure that all the aluminum is not clinging to the sides of the beaker, but is all under the level of the liquid. The reaction is complete when there's no more fizzing and there's no more pieces of aluminum foil. Note that there may be black specks, which are impurities in the aluminum foil. In the next step, we're going to filter these out by gravity. Carefully take your beaker, your hot beaker, off of the hot plate and pour it into your fluted filter paper. This is what we call a hot gravity filtration. In order to make sure that you transferred all of the liquid, it's okay to squirt just a little bit of water into your beaker and to add this into your filter paper. Make sure you wait a minute or two for all the liquid to go out of the filter and into the beaker below. The liquid in the beaker below is what we call the filtrate. In the next step, we're going to get 5 milliliters of 9 molar sulfuric acid using our small graduated cylinder, and we're going to pour it into a clean, dry beaker. Then we're going to take our filtrate and we're going to add the sulfuric acid dropwise to the filtrate. Notice that it makes a flocculent white precipitate. By dropwise, you don't have to go super slow. You can add the drops as I am doing here in a fairly rapid fashion. Every time you add more drops, you should be getting more precipitate. Continue doing this until you've added the full 5 milliliters. Obtain some ice and mix it with some water to make an ice water bath. Then put your precipitate of alum in the ice water bath to allow it to cool and complete the crystallization. While you're waiting, you can set up a vacuum filtration apparatus using a Buchner funnel and a filter flask. In each fume hood, there's a vacuum trap in the cup sink. Take the hose that comes from the vacuum trap and hook it up to the side arm of your filter flask. A tip here is if you dip the hose in some water first, it'll slide on here a lot easier. Wet your piece of filter paper. You can use your ice water bath or you can run it under the sink. Once you've wetted the entire filter paper, put it inside the Buchner funnel so that it's covering all the holes. By wetting the filter paper, you're helping it to cling to the bottom of the Buchner funnel so that the solid does not go through. Obtain about 25 milliliters of 95% ethanol from the stock bottle. Put it into your large test tube, and then put your large test tube into the ice water bath, removing your precipitate. Using the yellow nozzle that says vacuum underneath the fume hood, turn it counterclockwise to turn on the vacuum. Press down on your Buchner funnel to make sure you have a good vacuum seal. Next, you're going to take your alum precipitate and you're going to use your rubber policeman to transfer it into the Buchner funnel. Use the brown spatula end of your rubber policeman to try to get all the solid into the filter. It's okay if you can't get it all on the first try. Next, we're going to wash the alum that's in our filter paper. Go under the fume hood and turn off the vacuum nozzle. Vacuum off, take a portion of your ethanol and dump it into your beaker. Swirl your beaker really good, and then dump it into the filter paper. You will now have some soggy alum that's soaked in the ethanol. Reach under the fume hood again and turn on the vacuum. When you do this, it sucks the ethanol wash through into the filter flask below. Repeat this process until all the cold ethanol has been used to wash the alum. Last wash, make sure you turn the vacuum back on and allow the vacuum to draw for 5 minutes. This will help to dry the crystals. During the 5 minutes, you can take the stir rod end of your rubber policeman. You can break up any clumps that might be on top of the filter paper to help your alum dry faster. Let the alum dry for 5 minutes. After drying the alum for 5 minutes, turn off the vacuum. Then, using your forceps, pry up one of the sides of the filter paper. Carefully remove the filter paper from the Buchner funnel. Scrape all the alum that's on the filter paper onto a clean, dry watch glass. Put the watch glass containing the alum into your locker and loosely cover it with a paper towel. Save this for next week.